Welcome to our channel. We are so glad you found your way here. Let us help you fall asleep. Let's begin with the quiet collapse of Friendster, the early failure of the social network pioneer. Take a slow, deep breath in and release it. Even the tallest towers eventually quiet down. Tonight, we gently explore the empty boardrooms and forgotten ambitions of the past. Your mind is calm, and we are ready to begin. The vision for social networking materialized in 2002 when Friendster emerged as a digital platform bridging connections between individuals. It sought to create an online community where users could interact, share interests, and foster relationships. This ambition was rooted in the belief that human connection could be enhanced through technology, providing users with a space to build and maintain friendships. In its early days, the platform attracted a diverse user base, eager to embrace this new method of social interaction. They engaged with profiles, sent messages, and discovered connections through mutual friends. The initial excitement surrounding Friendster was palpable as people were drawn to the concept of a digital meeting place. The founders believed they had tapped into a fundamental human need, one that promised to grow exponentially. Infrastructure challenges soon became apparent. As the user base expanded, the platform struggled to maintain functionality. Technical difficulties plagued the experience, leading to frustration among users. They encountered sluggish load times and frequent outages, undermining the original vision. The promise of seamless interaction began to crumble under the weight of its own ambition. The ambitious dreams of Friendster were slowly overshadowed by operational issues and emerging competition. This region of innovation was becoming increasingly difficult to navigate, leading to an inevitable decline in user engagement. The founders, Jonathan Abrams and his dedicated team, once stood at the forefront of an emerging digital landscape. Their vision sought to create a social networking platform that would bridge connections, enabling users to engage with friends in an unprecedented manner. Initial enthusiasm surrounded Friendster as its user interface attracted millions, fostering a sense of community within the virtual realm. Abrams, driven by a blend of ambition and curiosity, navigated the early days with a fervent determination to innovate. This group of pioneers believed in the potential of online relationships, crafting features that would resonate with a burgeoning audience. The excitement was palpable, generating rapid growth and enthusiastic user adoption. Challenges soon surfaced, however, as the platform struggled to accommodate an influx of new members. Technical limitations began to hinder performance, leading to frustrations among users who faced slow loading times and connectivity issues. What was once a welcoming space increasingly felt like a burden. The initial promise began to fade as competitors emerged, each vying for the same audience. In this increasingly crowded digital marketplace, Friendster's struggles became evident. The founders, once heralded as visionaries, found themselves grappling with unforeseen obstacles. Their aspirations, while noble, were slowly being overshadowed by the realities of a shifting technological landscape. The initial concept sought to bridge online and offline friendships, creating a space where connections could flourish beyond the confines of physical boundaries. This platform allowed users to establish a digital presence, facilitating interactions that might not have occurred otherwise. Through profiles, users shared aspects of their lives, presenting curated versions of themselves. The intention was to enhance existing relationships and foster new ones, as individuals navigated a rapidly changing social environment. This region of the internet became a hub for early adopters, a place where friendships transcended geographical limitations. The excitement surrounding this innovation drew in a diverse user base, each eager to explore the possibilities that lay before them. Early successes were marked by a surge in user engagement. Individuals formed connections that blended seamlessly with their offline lives, exchanging messages and gathering in groups. Yet this initial momentum soon waned as competition intensified. Other platforms emerged, each vying for attention, offering features that captured the imagination of a tech-savvy audience. The decline began as these newer services introduced innovative functionalities, drawing users away. The once vibrant community started to dissipate, leaving behind echoes of what could have been. Friendster struggled to adapt, finding itself caught in a relentless tide of change, unable to reclaim its position in a landscape that had rapidly evolved. The launch in March 2003 marked the beginning of Friendster's ambitious journey. Initially, it captured the attention of users eager for a new way to connect, offering a platform that promised to revolutionize social interactions. Early adopters flocked to the site, drawn by its innovative approach to networking, and the excitement was palpable. This initial surge of interest suggested a bright future, with users envisioning a digital community where friendships could flourish. As the site gained traction, the infrastructure struggled to support the influx of new members. Technical issues began to arise, leading to slow load times and frequent outages. This region of early enthusiasm quickly transformed into frustration, with users expressing dissatisfaction over the inability to utilize the platform effectively. Communication between friends turned into a laborious process, detracting from the very essence of connection it sought to promote. While competitors began to emerge, Friendster's internal culture struggled to keep pace with the demands of its expanding user base. Innovation became overshadowed by the need to address mounting technical challenges. The landscape of social networking was shifting rapidly, creating an environment in which adaptability was essential. The fading company found itself at a crossroads, as the initial promise of revolution became increasingly difficult to realize amid growing competition and technical setbacks. The rapid user growth marked a significant turning point in its early days. Within months, millions flocked to this online platform, captivated by the novelty of connecting with friends and acquaintances in a digital space. Media attention surged as journalists hailed it as a groundbreaking innovation, sparking widespread curiosity and interest. The excitement surrounding the platform was palpable, with stories of users reconnecting after years and forming communities that transcended geographic boundaries. During this period, the user interface appeared intuitive, drawing in both the technologically savvy and those new to the online landscape. Invitations circulated rapidly, creating a sense of exclusivity and urgency. This region buzzed with discussions about features that allowed for the sharing of personal updates and photographs, further fueling the platform's momentum. The early success fostered a belief that it could redefine social interaction in the digital age. Investors took notice, drawn by the soaring user numbers and the potential for monetization. This enthusiasm, however, masked underlying issues. As the user base expanded, the infrastructure began to strain, revealing cracks in the foundation. The initial thrill of connection started to fade, overshadowed by the shadows of competition and the challenges of maintaining a stable, engaging environment for its rapidly growing audience. The innovative platform presented by Friendster featured a user interface that was groundbreaking for its time. Designed to facilitate connections, it integrated profiles, photographs, and messaging in a manner that was both novel and inviting. Users were encouraged to showcase their identities through customizable profiles, a feature that fostered a sense of personal expression. This approach attracted a diverse user base, eager to explore new social interactions in the digital realm. Despite its initial appeal, the interface was not without flaws. As the user base grew, the platform struggled to maintain seamless navigation. Technical issues often arose, disrupting the user experience. Loading times increased, and glitches became commonplace. These problems contributed to growing frustration among users who began to seek alternatives. Friendster's design was a double-edged sword. While it offered an unprecedented way to connect, the lack of foresight in scaling the platform led to significant challenges. Competitors emerged with more refined interfaces and improved functionalities, capturing the attention of those disillusioned by the deteriorating experience. This shift marked the beginning of a gradual decline, as the initial enthusiasm for the innovative aspects of Friendster's platform waned. What was once a pioneering social network became a cautionary tale about the importance of adaptability and user-centric design in an ever-evolving digital landscape. The social networking landscape in the early 2000s was characterized by rapid innovation and intense competition. Emerging platforms sought to connect individuals, creating virtual spaces for interaction and community building. This region buzzed with the excitement of new ideas and the promise of connectivity, with various startups vying for user attention. Users were drawn to platforms that offered an array of features, prioritizing ease of use and engaging experiences. During this period, Friendster established itself amidst a flurry of similar ventures, positioning itself as a frontrunner. It was a time when simplicity attracted users, yet the expectations of the digital populace began to shift. The need for seamless functionality and instant gratification became paramount. As new platforms introduced fluid interfaces and innovative features, Friendster struggled to maintain relevance. Technical glitches and scaling issues marred user experience, leading to frustration and disengagement. The arrival of competitors like MySpace and Facebook transformed the dynamics of this digital arena. They embraced the changing landscape, adapting swiftly to user demands. Friendster, in contrast, became increasingly stagnant, its initial promise overshadowed by its inability to evolve. The once prominent platform found itself eclipsed, a relic of the past amid the rise of more agile and responsive social networks. This shift highlighted the critical importance of adaptability in a world driven by technological advancement. The early stages of Friendster's development were marked by an emphasis on beta testing, a strategy that sought to engage early adopters. This initiative aimed to gather essential feedback from users who were willing to explore the platform's capabilities. Although this method offered valuable insights, the responses received were often mixed, reflecting both enthusiasm and dissatisfaction. Technical glitches frequently plagued the initial experience, resulting in frustrations that overshadowed the excitement of social connectivity. Users reported issues ranging from slow loading times to the inability to access profiles. These challenges highlighted the delicate balance between innovation and the user experience. The feedback loop, while designed to refine the platform, also revealed a growing discontent among early adopters. In this environment, the community's expectations evolved rapidly. Users sought seamless interaction and reliable performance, a stark contrast to what was provided. The aspiration to create an engaging social network clashed with the reality of software limitations. As these early adopters voiced their concerns, the company struggled to implement changes swiftly, leading to a widening gap between user needs and the platform's capabilities. Consequently, the initial promise of Friendster began to dim, overshadowed by a perception of neglect. While it sought to foster connections, the platform inadvertently fostered disillusionment, setting a precedent that would echo throughout its subsequent decline. An innovative approach to viral marketing marked the ascent of this platform in its early days. Word of mouth became an essential tool, as users, captivated by the novelty of connecting with friends and acquaintances, eagerly shared their experiences. The allure of a digital social space, where interactions transcended geographical barriers, attracted millions. Invitations were required to join, creating an air of exclusivity that only heightened interest. This sense of belonging sparked curiosity, leading to rapid growth. The platform's design encouraged users to create profiles and share personal information, allowing their networks to expand organically. From college students to professionals, diverse demographics found common ground. Online relationships began to flourish, with members frequently logging in to check updates and connect with others. It became a phenomenon in this region, encapsulating the zeitgeist of early 2000 social networking. A combination of strategic partnerships with relevant brands and a focus on user engagement contributed to its popularity. Promotions and events amplified its presence, drawing in curious newcomers eager to experience the next wave of communication. The sense of community fostered by these efforts generated enthusiasm, propelling the platform to unprecedented heights. Growth seemed limitless, a beacon of potential in the ever-evolving landscape of digital interaction, yet beneath the surface, challenges lurked, waiting to surface. Media coverage intensified during this period, amplifying the visibility of the platform and its early successes. Journalists and analysts hailed it as a groundbreaking innovation, a harbinger of a new era in communication. Each article painted vivid portraits of enthusiastic users, lauding the connections formed in this expansive digital realm. The optimism radiating from these headlines created an aura of invincibility around it, drawing in millions who sought to join the conversation. Amidst the glowing reviews, scrutiny began to emerge. As more users flocked to the site, the underlying technical issues became increasingly apparent. Users encountered sluggish performance and frequent downtime, leading to frustration and disappointment. This discontent found its way into the media narrative, shifting the tone from celebration to concern. Critics questioned the sustainability of its rapid growth, suggesting that the foundation of the platform was far less robust than initially perceived. The dichotomy of media coverage contributed to a volatile perception of it. Early enthusiasm was countered by growing skepticism, leading to a fragmented user experience. Detractors began to surface, arguing that the platform's operational challenges overshadowed its potential. This evolving narrative reflected the complexities of a digital ecosystem struggling to reconcile ambition with reality, foreshadowing the eventual decline of the once promising pioneer in social networking. The first million users marked a significant milestone in its brief history, showcasing an early triumph in the realm of social networking. These users, drawn by the allure of connecting with friends and sharing experiences, contributed to an initial surge of enthusiasm. This growth brought with it a sense of validation, a moment where ambition appeared to align with tangible success. Numbers climbed steadily, each registration symbolizing a burgeoning community eager to explore this new digital frontier. Challenges soon emerged in tandem with this achievement. The platform struggled to create a cohesive experience as user expectations evolved rapidly. Technical limitations became apparent, with scalability issues affecting performance and reliability. The excitement of the initial user base began to wane as frustrations grew. The very foundation of the platform, once seen as groundbreaking, faced scrutiny as competitors entered the market with more refined offerings. The initial triumph proved to be a double-edged sword as the pressure to innovate intensified. The need for constant adaptation became evident, yet the organization found itself ill-prepared to navigate this fast-changing landscape. Features that had once captivated users quickly fell short of aspirations, leading to disengagement. A once vibrant community began to experience fragmentation, signaling a troubling trend that would. A once vibrant community began to experience fragmentation, signaling a troubling trend that would soon manifest through technical challenges. Server crashes became an all too common occurrence, disrupting the digital interactions that had once flourished. Users encountered error messages and long loading times, leading to frustration and disillusionment. As the platforms faced increasing traffic, the infrastructure struggled to keep pace, resulting in prolonged downtime. This decline in reliability eroded user trust. Members began to question whether the platform could meet their social networking needs. The lack of responsiveness to technical issues compounded the exodus of users seeking more stable alternatives. Each outage chipped away at the user base, transforming once familiar virtual spaces into barren landscapes of inactivity. The engineering team attempted to implement upgrades and enhancements, yet these efforts often fell short of expectations. New features intended to attract users back were plagued by bugs and inconsistencies. As the technical environment deteriorated, communication among users diminished, and social interactions became increasingly sporadic. Within this fractured ecosystem, the sense of belonging that had initially drawn users faded. The digital community that once thrived now stood on the brink of obscurity. In this quiet collapse, the challenges of maintaining a viable social network became starkly evident, marking the beginning of a significant decline for the platform. The transition from a college-centric platform to a broader audience marked a pivotal moment in its trajectory. Initially, it attracted a vibrant community of university students eager to connect with one another. This demographic thrived in a space designed for their specific social needs, fostering engagement and interaction. As it sought to expand, efforts to draw in a more diverse user base led to the opening of registration to the general public. This shift ignited a surge in registrations, as millions flocked to the nascent platform, curious to engage with friends and family. The influx brought fresh energy, yet it also introduced complexities that the original framework struggled to accommodate. The user experience began to fragment, revealing the limitations of its early design. An influx of varied expectations created a maze of interactions and content, leaving many users feeling overwhelmed. Community guidelines and moderation systems struggled to keep pace with the rapid growth, leading to a dilution of the cohesive environment that had initially attracted its devoted following. Consequently, the once thriving digital community began to splinter, with users seeking refuge in more streamlined platforms that catered to their evolving needs. The initial excitement of expansion soon gave way to a chaotic landscape, signaling the challenges that lay ahead for the fading company. The emergence of rivals marked a significant turning point in this landscape. MySpace, with its customizable profiles and music integration, quickly gained traction, appealing to a younger demographic eager for self-expression. This shift in user preference introduced a new layer of complexity, as the fading company struggled to retain its user base amidst the growing allure of competitors. In this region of digital connection, platforms proliferated. Facebook emerged, initially catering to college students, yet it soon expanded its reach, presenting a stark contrast to the user experience offered by Friendster. The clean interface and focus on real identity attracted those who sought more meaningful interactions, further eroding the fading company's market share. These developments unleashed a wave of user migration, as individuals sought platforms that resonated more closely with their needs. Friendster's once vibrant community began to dwindle. This decline was punctuated by a series of technical issues, exacerbating frustration among users and driving them toward more stable alternatives. Conversations shifted from the once thriving platform to newer contenders as the online social landscape transformed. The fading company, once a pioneer, found itself overshadowed by its own creation, a testament to the unpredictable nature of innovation and competition. The result was a gradual but relentless erosion of its influence and relevance. This erosion of influence and relevance prompted a search for new avenues of revenue. A shift towards a paid model emerged as a potential solution, reflecting a broader trend seen across various platforms. In these early years of social networking, the idea of monetization through subscriptions seemed promising. Users were presented with the option to access premium features in exchange for financial contributions. This approach aimed to create a stable income stream, but the execution faced challenges. Many users who had initially embraced the platform for its free social interactions were resistant to the idea of payment. The allure of cost-free connectivity had become a cornerstone of its appeal, making the transition to a monetized model complex. Attempts to introduce tiered membership structures were met with skepticism, as the value of these premium features was not universally recognized. It became apparent that the platform's user base was not willing to pay for services they had previously enjoyed for free. In this environment, advertising strategies also emerged as a consideration. Various ad placements aimed to generate revenue, but the effectiveness of these efforts was limited. The challenge lay in balancing user experience with the need for income. As this region of the social network landscape evolved, the fading company grappled with its identity and purpose amidst shifting expectations. The consequences of these decisions would ripple through its history. Technical shortcomings began to surface, undermining its initial promise. Users experienced slow loading times and intermittent outages, which eroded their trust. As more individuals sought connection through this platform, its inability to maintain consistent performance became increasingly evident. Frustrations mounted as the very foundation of social interaction faltered. This region, once vibrant with the potential for communication, began to feel stagnant. Users reported difficulty in navigating the interface, with features that were intended to enhance experience instead becoming sources of confusion. The absence of timely updates left many feeling neglected, as they watched competitors evolve while languishing in the same outdated design. Communication, once fluid and engaging, transformed into a cumbersome task. The simple act of connecting with friends became riddled with obstacles, creating a sense of disillusionment. As users sought to share their lives, they found themselves thwarted by an unresponsive system. These ruins of a once promising social network reflected an environment where innovation was stifled by technical inadequacies. The growing dissatisfaction became palpable, leading many to abandon their profiles in favor of alternatives that offered greater reliability and engagement. The initial enthusiasm waned as the platform struggled to adapt, leaving behind a legacy marked by missed opportunities and fading relevance. Innovations and new tools emerged in attempts to reinvigorate the platform, reflecting a response to user demands and market pressures. Features such as photo sharing and user profiles were introduced, aiming to enhance interaction and engagement. This region of technological experimentation, however, lacked the decisive impact initially anticipated. The introduction of these capabilities did not align with an evolving user base that increasingly sought more dynamic and intuitive platforms. Development teams endeavored to implement a variety of enhancements. Messaging systems were upgraded, intending to facilitate more immediate communication among users. Groups and events were designed to foster connections within specific communities, yet these efforts were met with limited success. The competition from emerging platforms created a stark contrast against the backdrop of these gradual modifications. The response from users remained tepid, indicating a disconnect between the innovations and the expectations of a rapidly changing digital landscape. As new entrants captured the attention of users, the fading company found its features overshadowed by the allure of more engaging alternatives. Investment in advanced tools, such as mobile applications, fluctuated as the organization struggled to maintain relevance. Community played a pivotal role within Friendster's early framework, fostering connections among users drawn to this novel platform. It served as a social hub where individuals sought to share experiences, cultivate relationships, and establish their digital presence. An intricate network of profiles allowed users to connect with friends and meet new acquaintances, laying the groundwork for a burgeoning online social culture. While the initial enthusiasm for this community was palpable, it began to wane as user engagement declined. The limitations of the platform became increasingly apparent, contributing to a fragmented experience that hindered genuine interaction. Scalability issues emerged, resulting in slower loading times and frequent outages, further alienating users who sought reliable connectivity. This degradation of service eroded the sense of community that had initially drawn individuals to the platform. With the rise of competing social networks offering more robust features, Friendster found itself struggling to retain its user base. The essence of connectivity that had once thrived was now overshadowed by dissatisfaction and frustration. Attempts to innovate and reinvigorate the community fell short as the fading company grappled with the reality of an evolving digital landscape. Those early connections slowly dissipated, leaving behind a hollow reminder of what once was, echoing in the annals of social networking history. Concerns over privacy emerged as a significant obstacle, eroding trust among users seeking a safe online community. The platform, initially celebrated for its ability to connect individuals, soon faced scrutiny regarding its handling of personal data. Users began to question how their information was stored and shared, prompting widespread unease within its once loyal user base. This rising apprehension manifested in a decline of user engagement, as individuals grew wary of the implications of their digital footprints. The promise of connection transformed into an anxiety-ridden experience where every interaction was clouded by the potential misuse of personal information. In this environment, the founding ideals of openness and community were overshadowed by the looming presence of data vulnerability. As these issues intensified, many users opted to withdraw, seeking refuge in platforms that prioritized privacy and data security. The fading company struggled to regain the trust it had lost, and its once flourishing user community began to fracture. Regulatory scrutiny further compounded the situation as authorities began to investigate the practices surrounding user data management. This decline was not merely a result of external pressures, but stemmed from a fundamental disconnect with users' expectations of privacy, resulting in a profound transformation of a once promising social network into a cautionary tale of trust eroded by oversight and neglect. Early attempts at monetization revealed a lack of understanding of the user base. Advertising initiatives, often intrusive and misaligned with users' preferences, failed to resonate. This region, once vibrant with user engagement, began to feel the strain as advertisements cluttered the interface, distracting from the social interactions that users sought. They were met with banner ads and promotional content that overshadowed organic connections, fostering frustration rather than fostering loyalty. Revenue generation strategies evolved from simple ad placements to more complex partnerships with brands. These efforts, however, were met with skepticism. Users who had embraced the platform for its communal spirit began to withdraw, perceiving the encroachment of commercialization as a betrayal. The declining user engagement became evident as metrics slipped, casting shadows on financial projections. Attempts to introduce premium features aimed at enhancing user experience only deepened the divide. The very essence of the network was compromised, as the allure of exclusivity clashed with the foundational principles of openness and accessibility. As revenues dwindled, the organization struggled to maintain operational viability, leading to further cutbacks and a reduction in service quality. Each initiative, intended to stabilize the financial outlook, only served to alienate an already wary user base, further diminishing the prospect of recovery. The discontent echoed through online forums and personal blogs, a cacophony of critiques that painted a grim picture of the platform's decline. Users expressed frustration with the increasing number of advertisements, which cluttered their experience and disrupted the once clean interface. This region, initially marked by genuine connection, now felt like a commercial landscape devoid of authenticity. The essence of social interaction was slipping away, replaced by an overwhelming sense of intrusion. Privacy concerns compounded the dissatisfaction. Users found themselves questioning the platform's commitment to their safety as reports of data breaches surfaced. Trust eroded, and many opted to delete their accounts, further shrinking the user base. Those who remained often shared stories of their dwindling engagement and the loss of meaningful interactions. This transformation from a vibrant community to a barren wasteland of profiles and advertisements left a lasting impression on its remaining members. The sense of betrayal deepened as the platform's updates seemed to prioritize profitability over user experience. Features that once fostered connection became burdensome, leaving individuals feeling as though they had been sold out. Each complaint reflected a broader sentiment. The platform had lost its way. The vibrant community that once thrived was now a distant memory, overshadowed by the relentless march of corporate missteps and user backlash. An influx of users strained the infrastructure, revealing cracks in the once promising digital platform. This surge, initially perceived as a sign of success, quickly transformed into a burden. Servers buckled under the weight of increased traffic, leading to frequent outages and slow response times. Frustration echoed through the community as members encountered error messages and downtime, tarnishing the user experience. Technical teams scrambled to address the mounting issues. They implemented temporary fixes, yet these measures proved inadequate against the relentless demand. The inadequacy of the infrastructure became apparent to users who had initially flocked to this new social networking frontier. As the platform struggled to maintain functionality, the allure began to fade, replaced by an air of uncertainty. The failure to scale effectively highlighted deeper flaws in the company's operational planning. Decisions made in the early days, driven by optimism rather than foresight, left it vulnerable to competition. Rivals emerged, equipped with better resources and more robust technology, ready to capitalize on the unfolding struggles. The once beloved platform became synonymous with frustration rather than connection. As it lost its footing, the decline in user engagement further exacerbated the crisis. The vibrant exchanges that had once characterized the community diminished into silence, echoing the broader narrative of an innovation that failed to adapt. The introduction of profiles marked a pivotal moment in this region's online social interaction. Customization options provided users with the opportunity to express individuality, reflecting personal tastes and preferences. In the early days, this feature was celebrated for its innovative approach, allowing users to curate their digital presence with colors, images, and written descriptions. It aimed to foster a sense of belonging and community. As time progressed, these user profiles became increasingly complex. Users could add friends, post updates, and share content, creating a dynamic network. This ability to customize profiles, however, revealed underlying issues. The very freedom to express individuality led to fragmentation, with various factions emerging within the community. The once cohesive environment began to splinter as users gravitated towards specific groups that aligned with their interests. Gradually, this customization shifted from a tool for connection into a source of confusion. Users found themselves overwhelmed by the sheer volume of options and the cacophony of voices competing for attention. The original vision of fostering connections became obscured amid the noise. As these challenges mounted, it became clear that this pioneering platform struggled to maintain its relevance. The early promise of social networking now stood at a crossroads, as the whispers of discontent began to resonate more profoundly across the fading company. The shift from exclusivity marked a pivotal moment in its trajectory. Once a sanctuary for college students, the decision to open its doors to a broader audience aimed to capitalize on the burgeoning interest in social networking. This expansion represented a calculated risk, as it sought to amplify user engagement. However, the influx of non-students brought with it a diverse array of expectations and behaviors that were not aligned with the initial community ethos. As this new demographic arrived, the platform experienced a notable dilution of its original identity. The vibrant, collegial atmosphere was overshadowed by a cacophony of voices, many of whom approached social interaction with different intentions. This shift created a dissonance, where established users felt a growing sense of alienation. The platform struggled to maintain the balance between fostering community and accommodating a wider audience. Technical issues began to emerge as the infrastructure grappled with increased traffic and varied user demands. Features designed for a tight-knit student body now felt inadequate amidst a more expansive user base. The once intimate connections, which had flourished in a controlled environment, began to fray at the edges. An increasing number of users found themselves disengaged, searching for platforms that offered clarity and coherence. This period marked the onset of a gradual unraveling, setting the stage for the challenges that lay ahead. Cultural shifts began to emerge as Friendster carved its niche within the digital landscape. It offered an unprecedented glimpse into social connections, inspiring a wave of curiosity and experimentation. Users engaged in a novel way, sharing personal details and forging connections that transcended geographical boundaries. The platform became synonymous with a burgeoning online identity, fostering a sense of community that had previously been elusive. In this region, conversations about digital interaction began to flourish, with Friendster frequently appearing in discussions among early adopters and technology enthusiasts. The platform's influence seeped into popular culture, manifesting in references across various media. Television shows and articles began to mention its name, embedding it within the lexicon of the time. Friendster's impact extended beyond mere connectivity. It prompted deeper reflections on privacy, digital personas, and the nuances of online relationships. Amidst this rising prominence, the allure of Friendster captured the imagination of many. Social gatherings often featured conversations centered around profiles and connections, weaving the platform into the fabric of social lives. This engagement, however, would not endure. The once vibrant connections began to fray as user experiences shifted, marking the transition from a cultural phenomenon to a cautionary tale. In this landscape, the implications of digital networking were only just beginning to unfold. The early stages of digital networking presented unique opportunities for connection. Friendster, as a pioneer, relied heavily on network effects to cultivate its user base. Each new user brought with them a potential expansion of social circles, thereby increasing the platform's attractiveness. The presence of established friends on the platform encouraged new users to join, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of growth. Interactions among users became vital as they shared profiles, experiences, and invitations to their networks. This interconnectedness manifested in a sense of community, fostering engagement that propelled the platform forward. As users invited their friends, the network expanded exponentially, drawing in more participants eager to explore their social connections. Despite this early promise, the initial surge in membership soon faced challenges. Technical issues, such as slow loading times and downtime, began to plague the experience, causing frustration among users. These obstacles diminished the platform's appeal, interrupting the organic growth that network effects had initially facilitated. As the user experience deteriorated, the once thriving community began to fragment. The reliance on existing friendships for growth faltered, leading to a gradual decline in active users. The ramifications of these early missteps became evident as the platform struggled to adapt to the evolving demands of its audience, marking a critical turning point in its trajectory. Business model flaws surfaced as the platform attempted to monetize its user base. Initial strategies relied heavily on advertising revenue, yet the audience's engagement did not align with the projected expectations. Despite a surge in user registration, the lack of consistent, meaningful interaction resulted in diminished click-through rates. Advertisers seeking effective platforms for their campaigns turned their attention elsewhere, leaving this pioneering network unable to generate the necessary income for sustainability. The reliance on a single revenue stream exposed vulnerabilities. As competition emerged, alternative models became more appealing. Users migrated to platforms offering diverse features, enhanced user experiences, and innovative monetization strategies. This exodus highlighted the inadequacy of Friendster's approach, revealing the stark limitations of its business framework. The difficulty in maintaining user interest resulted in a stagnant growth trajectory. Investor confidence waned, leading to financial constraints that stifled potential expansion and innovation. Attempts to pivot towards subscription-based services or premium features did not resonate with a user base accustomed to free access. Crumbling under the weight of its failing infrastructure and a shifting digital landscape, the fading company struggled to maintain relevance. Each strategic miscalculation compounded the challenges. The launch of competitors introduced a new dynamic, amplifying the pressure on this fading company. With the emergence of Facebook in 2004, the landscape shifted dramatically. It captured the essence of social connectivity in a manner that resonated deeply with users. This fresh platform offered an intuitive interface, fostering engagement and interaction in ways that Friendster struggled to replicate. Other entities began to emerge, each vying for a share of the social networking market. MySpace, while initially popular, this proliferation of alternatives left little room for the once prominent network to adapt. As users migrated to these new platforms, engagement on Friendster dwindled. The community, once vibrant and bustling, began to feel desolate. Attempts to innovate were overshadowed by the rapid advancements made by competitors. The once promising vision of a digital community began to dissolve, replaced by an acute awareness of the limitations in responding to an evolving digital landscape. The ascent of these new players marked a definitive turning point in the narrative of social networking. This shift prompted a series of product redesigns intended to refresh the platform and re-engage its dwindling user base. Changes were implemented with the hope of modernizing the interface and enhancing user experience. Color palettes were brightened, navigation was simplified, and new features were introduced, including photo sharing and enhanced messaging options. These initiatives aimed to align the platform with the evolving expectations of users, increasingly captivated by the sleek designs of emerging competitors. Amid these adjustments, the platform struggled to maintain its identity. Users, once loyal, began to perceive it as an antiquated relic, a shadow of its former self. The efforts to innovate, while well-intentioned, often felt disjointed and reactive rather than strategic. Feedback indicated a growing discontent. Many users yearned for a seamless experience, yet the updates failed to deliver a cohesive vision. Technical glitches became more frequent, and the platform's reliability diminished. User engagement continued to decline, revealing a rift between the company's aspirations and the realities of user preference. The structures that once supported vibrant community interactions eroded, leaving behind a fragmented online space. Misalignment with the desires of the market deepened the chasm, making it increasingly clear that these redesigns could not reverse the decline. The fading company faced an uphill battle against the relentless wave of innovation surging from its competitors. The decision to scale involved significant investments and funding rounds, each aiming to expand capabilities and reach a broader audience. Initial financial backing came from venture capitalists who believed in the potential of social networking. This optimism, however, gradually transitioned into uncertainty as the landscape evolved. Financial injections led to rapid user acquisition efforts, resulting in aggressive marketing campaigns and the introduction of features designed to enhance user engagement. Despite these endeavors, the anticipated growth did not materialize. The platform struggled to retain its user base, witnessing a concerning trend of attrition. The influx of funds, initially perceived as a lifeline, began to create pressure for immediate returns, resulting in hasty decisions that prioritized short-term gains over long-term viability. Investments that once promised a flourishing future instead highlighted vulnerabilities. Competitors, fueled by innovative strategies and user-centric designs, began to eclipse the fading company. The relentless focus on scaling without a coherent strategy led to disjointed efforts. These choices, made in the face of mounting competition, emphasized a misalignment between resources and market demands. In this environment, the initial excitement surrounding the funding rounds faded, leaving behind a stark reality. The vision of a thriving network transformed into a cautionary tale about the perils of ambition without adaptability. User feedback became a crucial element in the attempts to salvage the fading company. Early on, it was evident that the platform struggled to meet the evolving needs of its users. They sought a more dynamic experience, one that could accommodate the changing landscape of social interaction. In response, modest adjustments were made, though they often lacked the depth required for meaningful engagement. Features were introduced, such as improved user profiles and the ability to connect with friends more intuitively. These enhancements, while well-intentioned, often felt superficial. The community's desire for robust functionality clashed with the platform's inability to innovate beyond its original framework. As time progressed, the feedback from users became increasingly critical. The frustration grew palpable. Users migrated to newer platforms that offered more flexibility and richer experiences. This exodus highlighted a fundamental disconnect between the company's vision and the actual demands of its audience. Efforts to incorporate user suggestions became ad hoc, lacking a cohesive strategy. The failure to fully harness the insights from its user base led to an environment where stagnation took hold. Increased traffic strained the infrastructure, revealing significant flaws in the user experience. This platform, once a beacon of innovation, became bogged down by slow load times and frequent crashes. Users encountered frustration as they navigated a system ill-equipped to manage the growing demands placed upon it. The initial thrill of connection began to wane as these technical shortcomings overshadowed the social interactions that had once defined their experience. Feedback, though plentiful, went largely unaddressed, contributing to an atmosphere of discontent. Individuals started to drift away, seeking more reliable alternatives that could cater to their desires for seamless communication. As the challenges mounted, attempts to implement fixes resulted in unintended consequences. Updates intended to enhance functionality often led to further complications, alienating users instead of drawing them closer. This region, once thriving with activity, saw a noticeable decline in engagement. The struggle to maintain a user-friendly environment became emblematic of broader issues afflicting the fading company. Efforts to innovate were stifled by an inability to adapt to the rapidly evolving landscape of social networking. Each misstep compounded the crisis, creating an ever-widening chasm between what users expected and what was delivered. The once promising platform slipped further into obsolescence, marking the decline of a pioneering spirit. User feedback dwindled, signaling a disconnect between the platform and its community. Concerns regarding privacy, security, and user experience surfaced, yet responses from leadership remained tepid. This dismissal contributed to a growing sentiment of disillusionment among its user base. Rather than adapting to the evolving landscape of social networking, it clung to outdated practices, failing to address the very issues that had emerged as paramount in the digital age. Decision makers opted for a rigid approach, prioritizing short-term revenue generation over long-term engagement. This misalignment became increasingly evident as competitors introduced features that resonated with users' desires for connection and control. The introduction of privacy settings and personalized content drew users away, leaving the fading company struggling to retain its once loyal audience. Engagement metrics plummeted as users began to seek alternatives that offered a more responsive and user-centric experience. Each passing month revealed a deeper chasm between the platform and the communities it aimed to serve. Attempts to innovate were sporadic and often misguided, resulting in further alienation. The landscape of social media continued to evolve, and with it, the expectations of users grew more sophisticated. In this environment of stagnation, the decline accelerated. The social graph, a concept pivotal to understanding connections, became increasingly problematic within Friendster. Initial enthusiasm over the platform's ability to forge relationships diminished as users encountered limitations in network growth. Each connection was intended to foster deeper engagement, yet it became evident that these ties often lacked substance. Users encountered stagnant profiles, as many friends became inactive or migrated to competing platforms. This region, rich in potential for social interaction, soon revealed its fragility. The architecture designed to support connections could not sustain the influx of users seeking more vibrant communities elsewhere. Feedback loops, once designed to enhance user experience, transformed into echoes of disengagement. The promise of real-time connection waned as network reliability issues emerged, stifling communication. The allure of these connections faded, replaced by frustration and disillusionment. Users began to perceive it not as a platform for social belonging, but rather as an empty shell of lost opportunities. Each attempt to re-engage met with the haunting realization that many profiles lay dormant, their owners having chosen to abandon the network for more dynamic experiences. This disconnection permeated the atmosphere, casting shadows over what was once hailed as a groundbreaking innovation in social networking. Friendster's early promise succumbed to the weight of its own limitations, marking a pivotal moment in the evolution of online communities. Partnerships and collaborations emerged as critical avenues for growth, yet Friendster faltered in capitalizing on them. Initial attempts to forge alliances with content creators and media companies did not materialize into the robust support needed for expansion. It struggled to navigate its relationships, often missing opportunities to engage with influential figures who could have helped elevate its platform. A lack of strategic foresight clouded its judgment, leading to a reluctance in forming synergistic partnerships. The potential for revenue generation through advertising partnerships remained untapped. Competitors swiftly recognized the value of integrating advertisements into their platforms, transforming user engagement into profitable ventures. This region of opportunity eluded Friendster, as it failed to develop a coherent strategy for monetization, leaving its financial model vulnerable. While contemporaries pursued collaborations with mobile networks and technology firms, Friendster remained ensnared in its own ambitions, neglecting to explore these vital connections. The absence of a cohesive partnership strategy limited its reach and visibility within the burgeoning digital landscape. As social networking evolved, the lack of adaptability became increasingly evident. Friendster watched as others seized the moment, forming alliances that would fortify their market positions. The missed opportunities became a silent testament to the complexities of maintaining relevance in an ever-changing online environment, leaving the fading company struggling to redefine its identity. International expansion was considered a critical step in reaching a broader audience. Friendster aimed to penetrate markets beyond its initial demographic, envisioning a global community interconnected through shared experiences. The allure of international users promised a revitalization of its waning user base. Efforts to localize content and adapt to diverse cultural norms were initiated, yet each endeavor revealed significant challenges. Navigating varying internet regulations and accessing regions with limited connectivity proved daunting. The platform's infrastructure struggled to support the influx of international traffic, resulting in frequent disruptions and user dissatisfaction. In regions where the competition flourished, Friendster found itself overshadowed by more agile, regionally adapted social networks. Marketing campaigns designed to attract users in foreign markets often fell flat. Localized messaging did not resonate as intended, leaving the platform disconnected from the very communities it sought to engage. Users in these new territories exhibited skepticism towards a brand that lacked established credibility. As Friendster grappled with these growing pains, its leadership began to realize that the swift expansion strategy did not align with its operational capabilities. The ambitious vision for global reach became a burden, contributing to the sense of disarray that enveloped this once promising network. The struggle to adapt would mark a significant turning point in its trajectory, further complicating its quest for relevance. This quest for relevance was hindered by mounting community management challenges, particularly regarding moderation issues. As the user base expanded, it became increasingly difficult to maintain a harmonious environment. Content sharing and social interactions prompted a surge in user-generated material, which quickly spiraled into an overwhelming volume for the small moderation team. Inadequate resources resulted in inconsistent enforcement of community guidelines. Reports of harassment and inappropriate content began to accumulate, creating a toxic atmosphere for many users. This environment deterred potential new members who sought safer alternatives in a burgeoning digital landscape. Trust eroded as individuals experienced the consequences of unchecked behavior within this platform. The failure to effectively address these concerns allowed misinformation and disruptive narratives to proliferate. Users began to question the integrity of their online interactions. The once vibrant community started to fragment, with groups splintering off in search of more manageable spaces. This decline highlighted the ironies of a platform designed to foster connection, yet faltered at the most basic level of user safety. With each passing day, the remnants of what had once been a thriving social network became more pronounced. Users abandoned their profiles, leaving behind echoes of conversations that had once flourished. The ghost of engagement lingered, a stark reminder of the challenges that. The transition to a new platform marked a pivotal moment in the company's trajectory. Attempts to overhaul the existing infrastructure reflected an urgent need to adapt to changing user expectations. Engineers and developers, fueled by a flickering hope for revival, sought to implement a more robust system. This initiative included a significant upgrade to the user interface, aiming to enhance navigation and accessibility. Despite the efforts, the challenges inherent in such a transformation proved overwhelming. Technical issues persisted, complicating the integration of new features. The original design, once revolutionary, now appeared outdated in comparison to competitors. Users seeking modern experiences drifted away, further diminishing the already fragile user base. The once vibrant community began to feel desolate as the allure of innovative platforms captured the attention of the digital world. Marketing campaigns aimed at recapturing interest were met with muted responses. The promise of a revitalized experience failed to resonate, overshadowed by the rapid evolution of social networking. Each attempt at innovation seemed to deepen the chasm between the fading company and its former relevance. As time progressed, the initial ambition of establishing a social network began to feel like an echo of a distant past, a reminder of what once was but could no longer sustain itself in the face of relentless competition. The rise of mobile technology presented a pivotal opportunity, one that the fading company failed to capitalize on. While competitors embraced the shift toward portable devices, enhancing user interfaces for smartphone access, it lingered in a web of outdated strategies. The inability to adapt to this new environment marked a significant misstep as users increasingly sought convenience and immediacy. In this region of digital transformation, many social platforms flourished by prioritizing mobile optimization. Features such as instantaneous notifications and seamless navigation became standard, attracting users who demanded engagement on their terms. They found what they needed elsewhere, leaving the once prominent platform behind. As the decline deepened, the consequences of inaction became evident. Features that should have adapted to mobile devices remained stagnant, resulting in cumbersome experiences for users who attempted to connect through their smartphones. This oversight alienated a growing demographic that prioritized mobile interaction, further deepening the chasm between the fading company and its potential audience. The missed opportunities transformed into a haunting reminder of how swiftly the landscape can shift. With each passing day, the resonance of past successes faded further, overshadowed by the relentless march of innovation. The platform's inability to harness mobile technology. Brand loyalty erosion became increasingly evident as users sought alternatives to the platform. The gradual shift in user engagement revealed a growing dissatisfaction with the experience, leading many to explore competing options. This period marked a significant turning point as individuals migrated to platforms that embraced innovation and offered a more dynamic user experience. The allure of new social networks began to overshadow the fading company. Fresh competitors emerged, appealing to a generation that craved immediacy and seamless connectivity. Features such as real-time updates and mobile-friendly interfaces drew attention away from the once dominant platform. Users began to prioritize environments that provided enhanced interactivity and features that resonated with their evolving social needs. The community that had once flourished within its walls began to dwindle, retreating to spaces where their digital interactions felt more relevant and engaging. Friends, family, and acquaintances found new avenues for connection, leaving behind a shell of what it once was. The declining user base became a stark reminder of the consequences of stagnation in a rapidly changing digital landscape. As the platform struggled to retain its identity, the competition thrived. New players solidified their presence, fostering vibrant communities that overshadowed the fading network. A quiet realization settled in. The days of dominance had passed, yielding to the inevitable march of progress. The inability to adapt became increasingly evident as competitors emerged with fresh ideas and engaging features. This stagnation in creativity rendered the platform outdated, unable to captivate a user base that craved novelty. While others embraced the evolving landscape of social interaction, it remained tethered to its original concept, offering little more than a mirror of its former self. The lack of innovation manifested in its user interface, which felt increasingly cumbersome compared to the sleek, user-friendly designs of newer platforms. Features that once delighted users began to feel like relics, overshadowed by the vibrant functionalities introduced by competitors. This region of once enthusiastic engagement transformed into a space marked by disinterest, as users sought more dynamic environments to connect. In the absence of significant upgrades, features stagnated, leading to a decline in active participation. Users turned to alternatives that offered streamlined experiences and innovative social interactions. The fading company, once a beacon of early social networking, found itself in a cycle of missed opportunities. As the community dwindled, the failure to innovate became a stark reminder of the rapid evolution within the tech sector. The once bustling platform settled into a quiet decline, overshadowed by the relentless advance of those who understood the necessity of change amidst a dynamic digital landscape. Management decisions during this period reflected a struggle to adapt to shifting user expectations. Frequent changes in leadership marked the organization's trajectory, each new executive bringing their vision, but often lacking a cohesive strategy. With the departure of original founders, the company felt an identity crisis, disconnected from its pioneering roots. New leadership attempted to pivot towards monetization strategies, focusing on advertising revenues rather than enhancing user experience. These decisions alienated a user base that craved genuine interaction over commercialization. A series of reorganizations created instability, fracturing teams and eroding morale. The company's internal culture suffered as employees became increasingly unsure of the direction provided by their superiors. Investment in technology lagged behind competitors who embraced innovative features and mobile accessibility, while others incorporated real-time updates and user-friendly interfaces. This fading entity remained anchored to outdated systems. Each management turnover exacerbated the challenge of fostering a unified vision. Stakeholders grew restless, demanding results that seemed perpetually out of reach. As the platform struggled to redefine itself, communication faltered. Users, once enthusiastic, began to drift away. The disconnection between leadership and the community became apparent, leaving behind a hollow shell of what once was. The reverberations of these corporate decisions would echo through the corridors of time, marking a significant chapter in the annals of digital history. User engagement began to dwindle markedly as the platform struggled to retain its early adopters. The once vibrant community saw a gradual erosion, with metrics indicating a decline in daily visits and interactions. This region, once bustling with user-generated content and connections, transformed into an echo chamber of missed opportunities. The analytics revealed a consistent drop in active users, plummeting from several million to less than 1 million within a few short years. Users sought alternatives that offered more innovative features, leading to a slow but steady migration away from this fading company. The allure of connectivity diminished as rivals emerged with streamlined interfaces and enhanced functionalities. Engagement metrics further illustrated this decline. The average time spent on the platform declined significantly, illustrating a waning interest and a lack of compelling content. User-generated activity, once the heart of this network, became sporadic. The social interactions that defined its early success were replaced by silence, as users turned to emerging platforms that catered to their evolving needs. Analysts noted that the initial novelty wore off, leaving behind a fragile framework that could no longer support vibrant community engagement. This decline in user interaction not only weakened the overall appeal, but also signaled the beginning of a larger downturn, one that would. The 2006 rebranding effort sought to revive interest in a platform that had once promised to revolutionize social networking. Aimed at attracting a broader audience, these initiatives involved a redesign of the user interface and an attempt to integrate newer features that mirrored the functionality of emerging competitors. Despite the enthusiasm surrounding this transformation, it became apparent that the changes were superficial, failing to address the underlying issues that plagued the community. The introduction of blog-like features and photo-sharing options aimed to rekindle engagement, yet the response from users remained tepid. The lingering perception of Friendster as a platform in decline overshadowed these adjustments. While the rebranding efforts were intended to inject new life into the fading company, they instead highlighted its struggles to adapt to a rapidly evolving digital landscape. This effort to pivot revealed a deep-seated disconnect between the desires of users and the strategic direction taken by the management team. Feedback from the community indicated dissatisfaction with the pace of innovation, as well as a growing preference for more agile platforms that offered seamless interaction. The contrast between what was delivered and what users sought became an insurmountable barrier. The launch of Friendster games marked a pivotal moment in the company's trajectory. This initiative aimed to diversify offerings and capture a broader audience. With the gaming industry experiencing rapid growth, it seemed a logical step to enhance user engagement and retention. Friendster sought to harness this momentum by integrating gaming into its platform, envisioning a vibrant community built around shared experiences and playful interaction. Early titles such as card games and trivia were introduced, designed to attract users who might have felt disconnected from the social networking aspect. These games, while visually appealing and user-friendly, struggled to gain traction. the existing user base remained hesitant, often preferring established platforms that offered a more robust gaming experience. This hesitation highlighted a misalignment between the company's aspirations and the expectations of its audience. Despite the potential for increased user engagement, Friendster Games' decisions made during this period revealed a fundamental disconnect within the management team. A lack of coherent vision led to inconsistent messaging, which alienated both users and potential partners. This confusion was compounded by the failure to properly allocate resources, resulting in an inability to scale infrastructure to meet demand. Technical issues plagued the platform, often leaving users frustrated and disengaged. The launch of new features, rather than revitalizing interest, seemed haphazard and reactive. Each misstep served to amplify the growing discontent among users who sought a seamless and engaging experience. A misguided focus on monetization overshadowed the need for community building, further fracturing the user base. The leadership's failure to prioritize user experience became increasingly evident as competitors emerged, offering more responsive and innovative platforms. These rivals capitalized on Friendster's stagnation, drawing away users who were hungry for a more dynamic environment. Investor confidence waned as the once promising platform struggled under the weight of its own miscalculations. The promise of a connected community began to dissolve into a cautionary tale of squandered potential. This gradual unraveling, marked by strategic missteps and a lack of foresight. The role of investors loomed large during this period of decline. Their expectations, often inflated by the initial success, created an environment ripe for anxiety. Financial backers anticipated rapid growth and substantial returns, driven by the early promise of social networking. This pressure manifested in an unyielding demand for constant innovation and adaptation, compelling the company to pivot away from its core identity. Strategic decisions became increasingly reactive, aimed at appeasing stakeholders rather than fostering authentic user engagement. Promises made to investors often overshadowed the genuine needs of the platform's community. As focus shifted, users began to notice a disconnect. Features introduced to satisfy investor expectations failed to resonate, leading to an exodus of once loyal participants. Community trust eroded as the platform seemed to prioritize profit over connection. Disappointment among financial backers intensified as growth figures stagnated. This dissatisfaction contributed to a cycle of panic and hasty decision-making, further straying from the original vision. These external pressures compounded the internal challenges, creating a perfect storm of misalignment with user desires. The investor-driven urgency. The shift in social media dynamics marked a significant moment in the evolution of online interaction. Friendster, once the pioneer of social networking, began to falter as it struggled to adapt to the rapid changes in user expectations and technological advancements. Early adopters, enticed by the novelty of connection, became disillusioned with performance issues and limited functionality. As the platform stagnated, it became evident that the user experience was lacking. This region of digital engagement began to witness the emergence of new contenders. Facebook's entry into the landscape offered a more streamlined interface and enhanced functionalities that resonated with users. Its focus on user-generated content and community engagement captured the attention of a generation seeking a more dynamic online presence. As Friendster's user base dwindled, this new platform thrived, driven by a savvy understanding of social behavior and technological capabilities. The contrast between these two platforms illustrated a profound transformation in consumer preferences. While Friendster struggled with technical shortcomings and declining relevance, Facebook capitalized on these opportunities, fostering a culture of interaction that Friendster could not sustain. The gradual erosion of Friendster's influence marked the end of its era, ushering in a new chapter dominated by a more agile and responsive approach to social networking. In this way, the landscape of online connection was irrevocably altered. The impact of user migration was profound and immediate. Once a thriving hub for social interaction, it began to feel deserted as individuals sought alternatives that promised more engagement and innovation. With the rise of competitors, many users were drawn to platforms that offered enhanced functionalities and user experiences. This exodus marked a pivotal shift in digital socialization. A sense of abandonment permeated the once vibrant network. Users, longing for more dynamic interaction, flocked to emerging sites. They found appealing features in these new environments, such as real-time updates, multimedia sharing, and intuitive interfaces. The allure of new connections and communities proved irresistible, highlighting the shortcomings of the fading company. In this environment, the dwindling user base became a self-reinforcing cycle. With fewer members, engagement declined further, making it less attractive for remaining users. The absence of fresh content and interaction left many feeling disengaged, prompting them to seek fulfillment elsewhere. Secondary platforms flourished in the wake of this migration, capturing the attention of those who had once found solace in the original network. The once promising social experiment began to crumble, revealing the fragility of digital communities. The ephemeral nature of online connection was starkly displayed as users reinvented their social landscapes, leaving behind the ruins of what had once been a digital pioneer. The fading company made several attempts to reclaim its position within an increasingly competitive landscape. In 2008, a pivot to focus on gaming emerged, driven by the growing trend of casual online play. This strategy introduced features designed to engage users through interactive experiences, reflecting a desperate bid to recapture the attention that had long since shifted elsewhere. These efforts, however, did little to reverse the decline. The vibrant community that had once thrived on the platform dwindled further, overshadowed by newer entrants that appealed to a generation increasingly seeking instant connectivity. The remnants of Friendster became a cautionary tale as innovations failed to translate into user engagement. A rebranding initiative attempted to position it as a social discovery platform, emphasizing social networking through shared interests and community building. Despite these initiatives, the once loyal user base had largely moved on, leaving behind a fragmented identity. As social media giants solidified their dominance, the fading company became a mere relic of its former self, a ghost of early internet ambition. The infrastructure that once buzzed with activity fell silent, signifying the inevitable closure of its services in 2011. The platform's end marked a somber conclusion to an era, an emblem of the relentless nature of technological evolution and the transience of digital relevance. A gradual decline in user engagement preceded the eventual closing of accounts. Notifications began to appear, signaling the impending closures, creating a sense of unease among remaining users. They had witnessed the once thriving community dwindle, conversations fading into silence. Many had formed connections in this virtual space, but the realization of its demise prompted a melancholic reflection on shared moments and lost interactions. As the last login notifications emerged, users were faced with the decision to either preserve their memories or let go entirely. The option to download personal data became an echo of nostalgia, a final chance to archive fragments of their online lives. This region, once vibrant with activity, transformed into a ghost town, where remnants of profiles lingered like forgotten echoes, the laughter and connections now mere shadows. The final shutdown announcement arrived quietly, devoid of fanfare, much like the platform's gradual decline. They received it with a mix of resignation and sadness, understanding that closure was inevitable. This moment marked not only the end of an era for Friendster, but also an emblematic shift in the landscape of social networking. The realization settled in that a chapter had closed, leaving behind a legacy of exploration, innovation, and the shift to a gaming platform became a pivotal moment in its journey, marking a decisive redirection of business goals. This transition was characterized by an attempt to engage a user base that had grown increasingly disenchanted with the original social networking format. The allure of interactive entertainment offered a potential refuge, one that promised to revitalize interest and foster community engagement. With this new vision, they sought to attract gamers rather than mere social media users. The landscape was transforming, and the competition was fierce. This region of the digital sphere was dominated by emerging giants, each vying for the attention of a rapidly evolving audience. They began to reposition themselves as a hub for multiplayer gaming experiences, envisioning a vibrant ecosystem where players could connect and compete. Investment flowed into developing new gaming features and partnerships, yet the results were not as anticipated. Users remained hesitant to fully embrace this new identity, and the existing community struggled to adapt. The platform's once vibrant social fabric began to fray, as loyal users drifted away seeking more engaging alternatives. What had started as a bold reimagining soon became a quiet struggle, with dwindling engagement numbers serving as a stark reminder of its misalignment with user expectations. The gaming pivot, rather than a triumphant revival, became another chapter in the annals of its decline. The fading company left behind a legacy that would ripple through the landscape of digital communication. Despite its struggles, Friendster introduced concepts that would later become foundational to social networking. User profiles, connections between friends, and the sharing of content became standard features embraced by subsequent platforms. These remnants of innovation established a framework that others would refine and expand. The notion of a digital community, first tentatively explored within its confines, laid the groundwork for a vast array of social interactions online. It inspired a generation of entrepreneurs and developers who sought to capture the essence of connectivity that Friendster had initially envisioned but failed to fully realize. The remnants of its interface and user experience lingered, serving as a cautionary tale for future endeavors. This region of technology witnessed rapid evolution, and the lessons learned from its missteps became integral to the development of larger platforms. They observed the consequences of neglecting user engagement and the importance of adaptability in an ever-changing digital environment. While Friendster itself faded into obscurity, it undeniably influenced the trajectory of future social networks. The exploration of community, identity, and interaction within the digital realm emerged as a direct response to its brief existence. ensuring that the echoes of its journey would resonate far beyond its operational years. The evolution of user behavior within this early social network reflected significant demographic shifts. Initially, it attracted a youthful audience, predominantly college students eager to connect in novel ways. Over time, these individuals migrated to other platforms, seeking environments that catered more effectively to their changing needs. As the years progressed, the user base began to shift towards older demographics. This transition brought about a different set of expectations and requirements for engagement. The platform struggled to adapt its features to accommodate the desires of a more mature audience, leading to a disconnect between the service and its users. An analysis of engagement metrics revealed declining interaction rates. Users who once frequented profiles, messages, and forums began to diminish. This decline was not merely a loss of interest. It symbolized a pivotal moment in the evolution of social networks. New platforms emerged, offering more intuitive interfaces and innovative functionalities that resonated more deeply with the shifting landscape of social interaction. The constant influx of competitive alternatives contributed to a fragmented user experience. The once vibrant community began to dwindle, leaving behind a legacy of what could have been. It became evident that understanding demographic shifts was crucial for sustaining engagement, yet the fading company struggled to recognize and respond adequately to these changing dynamics. The struggle to adapt to evolving user preferences underscored deeper cultural lessons about the nature of online communities. Friendster, once a vibrant hub of social interaction, gradually became a cautionary tale of stagnation. This region of the internet, initially bustling with enthusiasm, witnessed a waning interest as users migrated to platforms that prioritized speed and convenience. The inability to innovate led to a disillusioned user base, leaving a void where once there was engagement. It became clear that fostering community requires not only understanding users, but also anticipating their desires. The failure to adapt to the cultural zeitgeist reflected a disconnect between company leadership and the very audience they sought to serve. The environment surrounding Friendster shifted dramatically, with competitors seizing opportunities to capture the attention of a younger, more mobile-oriented demographic. They capitalized on the importance of seamless user experience, while Friendster found itself increasingly irrelevant in the landscape of social networking. These ruins of a once prominent platform stand as a reminder of the fleeting nature of digital relevance. The quiet decline illustrates the necessity of agility in business practices. Embracing change and prioritizing user feedback are essential for survival in an ever-evolving digital ecosystem. Insights gained from this corporate decline continue to resonate, guiding future endeavors in the realm of social networking. The impact of technology on user experience was both profound and complex. Early platforms like Friendster were at the forefront of a digital revolution, yet they struggled to adapt to the rapid changes in user expectations and technological advancements. The initial allure of connecting with friends in a virtual space was accompanied by limitations that soon became apparent. As connectivity issues and slow loading times plagued interactions, user frustration grew. These technological constraints hindered the seamless experience that users began to demand. The architecture of the platform, while innovative at its inception, could not support the increasing volume of traffic or the evolving needs of its audience. This resulted in a fragmented experience, pushing users to explore alternatives that offered greater reliability and speed. Development teams faced challenges in scaling the infrastructure, leaving the platform vulnerable to outages and performance drops. User engagement faltered as individuals sought more responsive environments that could facilitate their social interactions without interruption. As competitors emerged, leveraging advancements in technology to enhance user experience, Friendster's limitations became more pronounced. Users gravitated towards platforms that provided smoother interfaces, better connectivity, and enhanced functionalities. The once promising pioneer became a cautionary tale, illustrating the critical role technology plays in shaping user expectations and experiences within the digital landscape. Friendster's approach to data management draws scrutiny in retrospect, highlighting the ethical dilemmas faced by early social networks. In its formative years, they prioritized rapid growth over responsible data stewardship. This region, once bustling with the excitement of new connections, soon became a landscape marked by uncertainty and mistrust as users began to question how their information was being utilized. Data practices revolved around a lack of transparency, with users often unaware of the extent to which their personal information was collected and shared. Privacy policies were vague, leaving many feeling exposed. The collection of data, intended to enhance user experience, instead fostered a growing sense of vulnerability. Individuals began to withdraw, retreating from the platform as their concerns mounted. The organization struggled to implement adequate safeguards, falling short of the expectations set by its rapidly evolving user base. This failure to prioritize ethical data management eroded trust and contributed significantly to its decline. As competitors emerged with more robust privacy measures, the erosion of confidence became palpable. Users migrated to platforms that demonstrated a commitment to ethical standards, leaving Friendster as a shadow of its former self. The decline of Friendster became a pivotal moment in the evolution of online communities. As it faltered, other networks began to rise, each building upon the lessons learned from its predecessors' missteps. These emerging platforms offered functionalities that catered to the changing dynamics of user engagement, emphasizing interactivity and community building. The allure of user-generated content and personalized experiences transformed the landscape, leading to the ascendance of MySpace and later Facebook. This region of digital interaction thrived on the promise of connection and expression. Users found solace in platforms that prioritized their needs, forging bonds through shared interests and collaborative features. In stark contrast, Friendster's rigid infrastructure and technical issues alienated its audience, creating an environment where users felt unvalued and overlooked. The slow response to emerging trends further exacerbated its decline, as competitors swiftly adapted to the evolving expectations of their user bases. The fading company serves as a case study in the importance of agility and responsiveness in the tech industry. It highlights how a lack of innovation can lead to obsolescence, as newer platforms embrace transparency and user feedback. The trajectory of online communities illustrates a continuous cycle of growth and decline, where the ability to listen and adapt becomes the cornerstone of sustainable success within this fast-paced digital realm. The initial enthusiasm surrounding this platform began to diminish as users sought novelty beyond its offerings. A pervasive sense of social media fatigue began to settle within this demographic, marked by an overwhelming saturation of online interactions. The rise of competing platforms introduced new features and experiences that captivated attention, drawing users away from the familiar confines of Friendster. Interactions that once felt fresh and engaging now appeared repetitive, leading to a gradual disengagement. Users began to express a desire for more visual content, instant gratification, and the ephemeral nature of interactions, which this pioneer struggled to provide. The preference for mobile accessibility further emphasized the shortcomings of its outdated interface, pushing users to explore alternatives that aligned more closely with their evolving expectations. This decline in user engagement reflected a broader cultural shift towards platforms that encouraged spontaneity and real-time communication. The allure of curated content and the ability to share life's moments more seamlessly became paramount. It was evident that Friendster was unable to pivot effectively in response to these changing preferences. As a result, the once thriving community found itself navigating a landscape that had rapidly transformed, leaving it to grapple with its identity in an increasingly competitive environment. The quiet unraveling of its user base marked a significant turning point in the narrative of social networking. The gradual decline of engagement led to a critical decision regarding the platform's future. As the user count dwindled, the fading company found itself unable to sustain operational costs. This region of early social media, once bustling with activity, now lay eerily silent. The vibrant discussions and connections that characterized its peak had all but dissipated, replaced by empty virtual spaces. In its final days, the management initiated a series of measures aimed at revitalizing the platform. Attempts to rebrand and innovate were met with resistance from a public increasingly enamored with emerging competitors. Those who had once cherished their profiles felt a sense of loss, as nostalgia clashed with the inevitability of change. The interface, once considered groundbreaking, failed to adapt alongside user expectations. As the decision to decommission the platform approached, users began to receive notifications regarding the impending closure. This announcement marked the end of an era, prompting reflections on the fleeting nature of digital spaces. Data migration services were offered, allowing individuals to transfer their memories elsewhere, yet many found themselves hesitant to leave behind the remnants of a once vibrant community. The hesitation among users underscored a critical lesson about timing in the evolution of social networking. The early 2000s marked a distinct era characterized by the burgeoning internet landscape and its users, many of whom were still grappling with the premature arrival of social platforms. This region witnessed the rise of Friendster, which, despite its initial promise, struggled to adapt to the rapid shifts within technological advancements and user expectations. Competition soon emerged, with other platforms offering streamlined experiences that resonated more effectively with the evolving digital culture. These alternatives quickly captured the attention of a restless audience, leaving Friendster to contend with a dwindling user base. The inability to innovate at a pace comparable to its rivals revealed a critical flaw in its operational model. While the network initially attracted millions, the allure faded as users sought spaces that better facilitated connectivity and engagement. The eventual decline served as a poignant reminder of the importance of timing in business strategy. It highlighted the necessity for organizations to remain agile, adapting to user demands and market trends. Lessons from this period remain relevant, illustrating that even pioneers can falter if they fail to recognize and respond to the signals of change within their environment. the fading company. The fading company struggled to maintain its once prominent position in the rapidly evolving landscape of social networking. Initially, it captured the attention of millions, positioning itself as a pioneer in connecting users across vast distances. The allure of its platform, however, soon waned due to a series of missteps that undermined its brand integrity. Technical challenges began to emerge, with frequent outages and a user experience marred by sluggish performance. Frustration grew among early adopters who had come to expect seamless interactions. Trust in the platform diminished as users sought alternatives that offered them reliability. This erosion of confidence was compounded by a failure to innovate. While competitors adapted to user demands and technological advancements, it remained stagnant, clinging to outdated features. The brand's identity suffered as it struggled to define its purpose amidst a growing multitude of social networks. Attempts to pivot towards a more niche audience often felt forced, alienating its existing user base. Marketing strategies lacked cohesion, contributing to a perception of inconsistency. As the company attempted to redefine its image, the increasing competition further fragmented its audience. User engagement dwindled, and loyal members began seeking alternatives. Platforms like MySpace and later, Facebook emerged, offering more robust features and user-friendly interfaces. This shift marked a significant transformation in the landscape of social networking, rendering Friendster's once innovative offerings obsolete. Features that had once captivated audiences now felt dated and restrictive, leading to a steady erosion of its user base. The management's efforts to pivot and adapt were met with limited success. Attempts to introduce new functionalities were often overshadowed by user frustration. The vibrant community that had once flourished began to fade, replaced by a sense of stagnation. In this region of digital interaction, the once thriving social network became a ghostly echo of its former self. As the decline progressed, the company faced mounting financial pressures. Investment began to wane, and operational costs loomed large. In a final bid to salvage its relevance, Friendster transitioned into a gaming site, a move that, while innovative, failed to attract the desired audience. The pivot only underscored the disconnect between the company and its user expectations. In the year 2013, Friendster officially ceased its operations, marking the end of an era in social networking. The platform's demise served as a cautionary tale, illustrating the ephemeral nature of digital innovation and the relentless pace of technological evolution. Memories of Friendster's early days evoke a sense of nostalgia, a yearning for a time when it reshaped social interaction online. In its prime, it captivated millions, offering an unprecedented way to connect with friends and meet new people. This region of the internet buzzed with excitement as users created profiles, shared interests, and forged relationships from behind glowing screens. The thrill of receiving a friend request or discovering mutual connections filled many with anticipation. This burgeoning network fostered a unique community where users exchanged messages and engaged in forums, creating a sense of belonging that felt revolutionary. Its vibrant interface, once a hallmark of innovation, attracted a diverse array of participants, from college students to young professionals. Enthusiastic users embraced the platform's potential, sharing experiences and memories with friends. As these connections flourished, the initial excitement began to fade, overshadowed by emerging competitors. Subsequent shifts in user behavior and preferences gradually eroded the platform's user base. The fleeting moments of joy and camaraderie transformed into distant recollections. Despite its ultimate decline, Friendster remains a significant chapter in the history of social networking. It is remembered not only for its shortcomings, but also for the spark of connection it ignited in a generation navigating the early digital landscape. The echoes of those glory days linger, a reminder of what once was. The cautionary tale of Friendster serves as an insightful examination of the volatile nature of innovation and market demand. Initial enthusiasm surrounded this pioneering platform, allowing users to connect and interact in unprecedented ways. The early adopters flocked to this new digital realm, creating profiles and forming networks that seemed to expand effortlessly. Challenges soon emerged as the infrastructure struggled to accommodate the growing user base. Server crashes and slow performance became commonplace, fostering frustration among members. Trust began to erode as the reliability of the service diminished, prompting users to seek alternatives. This decline was exacerbated by the emergence of competitors who capitalized on the shortcomings of Friendster, offering more streamlined experiences and enhanced functionalities. The inability to adapt rapidly to changing user expectations highlighted a critical oversight. Strategic missteps in management decisions led to a failure to innovate beyond the initial concept. The once promising platform began to fade into obscurity, a victim of its own success and subsequent stagnation. In the aftermath, the remnants of its existence serve as a stark reminder of the importance of agility in a constantly evolving landscape. As this narrative unfolds, it becomes evident that the rise and fall of Friendster encapsulates essential lessons in the realm of technology and business strategy, underscoring the delicate balance between ambition and execution. The educational value gleaned from the trajectory of Friendster resonates deeply within entrepreneurial circles. It illustrates the precarious nature of innovation and the necessity for adaptability. Observations reveal that its initial success offered a fleeting glimpse of potential, yet subsequent missteps revealed inherent vulnerabilities. A lack of responsiveness to user feedback, coupled with technical shortcomings. The misalignment with evolving user needs underscores the critical importance of market research. Entrepreneurs can draw from this narrative, recognizing the imperative to remain attuned to their audience's desires. Analysis shows that Friendster failed to pivot adequately in response to emerging competitors, highlighting a significant lesson about the need for strategic foresight. This region was not merely a technological battleground, it served as a crucible for learning. Operating within the tech sector necessitates a mindset that embraces failure as a stepping stone rather than a defeat. The decline of Friendster provides a case study in the consequences of complacency. Future entrepreneurs can benefit from dissecting its strategies, understanding how ambition can be undermined by execution flaws. By confronting the lessons embedded in this decline, aspiring innovators can cultivate resilience, ensuring they remain agile in the face of inevitable challenges. The echoes of Friendster linger, offering wisdom to those willing to listen. This region witnessed a remarkable evolution in social networking trends, as the initial promise of a connected community gave way to a more competitive landscape. The shift from Friendster marked the emergence of platforms that prioritized user engagement and simplicity. It became evident that users sought not only interaction, but also a seamless experience in their online endeavors. With the rise of platforms such as Facebook and Twitter, the landscape transformed rapidly. These newcomers introduced features that resonated with the desires of a tech-savvy generation. the focus shifted toward real-time communication and user-generated content, allowing individuals to share their thoughts and experiences instantaneously. This accessibility led to a surge in popularity, leaving Friendster to reflect on its fading relevance. The once thriving network struggled to adapt to these changes, facing increasing competition and a decline in user activity. It was not merely a case of technological advancement, but also a deep-seated shift in user expectations. The desire for dynamic interactions and the ability to curate one's online identity became paramount, overshadowing the original concepts that Friendster had championed. As these modern platforms carved out a significant presence, the remnants of Friendster served as a poignant reminder of the impermanence of digital success. The evolution of social networking continues to shape our interactions, leaving behind echoes of its vigorous past. User communities represented a vital component in the landscape of digital innovation, serving as catalysts for growth and engagement. Friendster, in its early days, possessed the potential to harness this community-driven momentum. The platform attracted users eager to connect, share, and explore relationships. Initial enthusiasm was palpable. They populated profiles, exchanged messages, and forged connections that echoed the social fabric of their offline lives. Despite this promising foundation, the company missed pivotal opportunities for innovation. Feedback from its users, rather than being embraced, was often ignored. Technical challenges arose, with the platform struggling to accommodate its burgeoning user base. Performance issues, such as slow loading times and frequent crashes, alienated its community, leading to frustration and attrition. Competitors capitalized on these shortcomings, offering more responsive and engaging experiences. Engagement strategies were limited. Existing users yearned for enhanced features, tools for sharing multimedia content, customized interaction options, and enhanced community engagement. Instead of fostering innovation through user feedback, decisions were made in isolation, stifling potential growth. As user loyalty dwindled, the vibrant community that once thrived began to fracture. Friendster's inability to adapt to the evolving needs of its users. The historical context of social networks reveals a landscape marked by rapid technological advancements and shifting user demographics. In the early years of the 21st century, platforms emerged to connect individuals across vast distances, driven by the increasing availability of the internet. Friendster stood at the forefront, introduced as one of the first social networking sites, aiming to bridge connections between friends and acquaintances in a digital realm. It attracted early adopters eager to explore the potential of online interactions. This pioneering platform catalyzed the emergence of similar ventures, leading to a crowded marketplace where user expectations began to escalate. In this environment, Friendster's limitations became evident. The company struggled with technical issues such as slow loading times and frequent outages, undermining the user experience. These deficiencies were compounded by a lack of innovative features that competitors swiftly adopted, such as customizable profiles and enhanced privacy controls. Over time, users gravitated toward alternatives that offered a more engaging and reliable experience. MySpace and later Facebook capitalized on this shift, providing an evolving array of functionalities that resonated more deeply with the audience's desires. Friendster's initial promise faded, becoming a cautionary tale within the annals of digital history, illustrating the importance of adaptability in an ever-changing technological landscape. The decline of Friendster offers poignant lessons for the future of social networks. Insights gleaned from its journey highlight the necessity of scalability in infrastructure. Users, once attracted to its novelty, quickly became frustrated with performance issues. This led to a rapid decline in engagement, demonstrating that maintaining a robust backend is essential for user retention. The importance of innovation cannot be overstated. As new platforms emerged, they adapted to user needs, offering streamlined interfaces and enhanced functionalities. Friendster's inability to evolve with its audience left it stagnant, overshadowed by more dynamic competitors. This region of digital interaction now thrives on the continuous evolution of features and user experiences. Community management became another vital aspect. Friendster struggled with spam and user dissatisfaction, which eroded trust. Future networks must prioritize user safety and satisfaction, fostering an environment that encourages positive interactions. Trust between users and the platform is paramount. Monetization strategies also require careful consideration. Friendster's attempts to generate revenue often alienated its core user base. Balancing profit and user experience can dictate a platform's longevity. A nuanced approach to advertisements and partnerships remains critical.